Yo, what's good with y'all today, man? It's Swervo who's back at y'all with another video today. Now, today's video is going to be about what we learned from the second round of the playoffs. And without wasting too much of y'all time, man, let's just get into the video, bro. In this series, we learned that Joel Embiid, although he proved to be unguardable and the Hawks had no one that could really stop him, he really wasn't as good in the second half of these games, being that he would play so many minutes in the first half. Now, it is the NBA playoffs and stars are asked to do that, but he really, I don't know, when it came to big moments, he really didn't shine. Like in game 5, you had the 2 crucial free throws he missed and the game-tying layup. In game 4, he didn't score a single field goal. In game 4 and 5, Philly choked up enormous leads. Game 4 being an 18-point lead, and game 5 being a 26-point lead towards the end of the third quarter. I really thought with Philly they would be a better defensive team in terms of stopping Trey, especially once they made Ben Simmons the primary matchup for him, being almost 10 inches taller than Trey. But that really didn't do shit. I mean, even though Trey's efficiency was lower in this series, he still pretty much did what he wanted in terms of penetrating and kicking out to open shooters on Atlanta. And on top of that, while we're on Ben Simmons and how he was just the biggest NBA meme of this playoffs, yeah, they're going to really have to consider trading him within this season to, like, trade deadline is, like, you know, that time period. I know he's young and full of potential, and he's not a trash NBA player. I'm not going to hop on that bandwagon, but Ben Simmons does not contribute towards what this Philly team needs. Now, he is a great defender and a great passer, but you need someone alongside Embiid that can relieve some of the offensive load off of him and still be a pretty solid defender so Philly can hold up their defense. But yeah, Ben Simmons is out of there. His lack of aggression, shot creation, his lack of confidence to shoot the ball, and the fact that he made history for the wrong reasons for this team, all of that, like, yeah, get him up out of here. Seth Curry was really like their only reliable scorer in that series, and Tobias had some moments, but yeah, Philly needs to like make some moves off season for sure. Not only strengthen their bench, but to also get a second star next to Embiid as well. Alright, so in this series, I feel like we really witnessed Giannis do what we expected him to do. Now, again, as I said in my last video, I still feel as if Giannis is still pretty much the same player who won his MVPs back-to-back times. And don't get me wrong, that player is still a superstar, of course, in today's league and undoubtedly a top 10 player. But we've seen him struggle from the free throw line. We've seen him struggle to shoot the ball, of course, in this series. And I'm just going to go out and say if Durant had either Kyrie or Harden healthy in this series, anyone that watched this series would know that the Nets probably could have swept them or probably would have finished off the series in 5 or 6 games. But KD did what he could do. He averaged 35 and 10 on the series, along with 5 assists on solid shooting splits. And other than 2 games out of the series, KD really had himself probably one of the best series of all time, in my opinion, proving not only that he is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, but he was definitely the best player on the court. Now, with that being said, this isn't to take away from anything that KD has done in this series, but it's just more of a observation than it is an opinion. But when we saw Kyrie get hurt in Game 4 and KD was asked to become the primary ball handler for Brooklyn, we really seen him struggle in terms of getting others involved and just setting up the offense, etc., etc. And of course, we all know KD is a scorer and passing isn't one of his greatest strengths. But I feel like the reason why Harden was rushed back from his hamstring injury so soon was because not only is Harden a great passer, whether he's hampered or not, but he also relaxes some of the defensive pressure he had to deal with once Kyrie went out in Game 4. And not only that, if we've all noticed, despite how great KD is regardless, he's played with a lot of guards, a lot of superstar guards in his career. And the reason why is because not only has he admitted this himself, but the guards that he's played with are not only great scorers, but they're also great passers as well, and they get him in his spots. KD is a dominant scorer, so he's able to play on the ball and off the ball. And although it's undeniable that KD can create his own shots, the weakness that is for him is just creating shots for others. And that's what we really learned in this series where, yes, Harden was hampered, but he really was just a decoy for KD to still do whatever he wanted on Milwaukee's defense. Whereas in Game 4, they really were able to load up on him, and he's able to commit a lot of turnovers. All right, this one's going to be a quick one. All right, when it comes to the Denver and Phoenix series, although I give Phoenix their credit, I feel like we really witnessed how much the Jamal Murray loss impacted Denver. Now, although they had a good 20, 30 games without Jamal Murray after his injury, it's obvious that him being the second best player on the team was going to have an impact on them in the postseason, especially against a really good team like Phoenix. Phoenix has really just came out in the playoffs and just taking care of business of teams that are just hampered and shit like that. But give Phoenix their credit. They played really good defense. They stopped Jokic from getting the team involved. I don't believe, other than Zeke, Nanji, anyone on Denver shot below 50%. Chris Paul had himself a hell of a playoff series in this one as well, averaging 25 and 10 on extremely well shooting splits. He really was just exposing Denver's defense and exploiting Jokic in the pick and roll, getting to his shots in the mid-range, and Denver couldn't do anything to stop it. Devin Booker played solid as well. And even though Jokic averaged his 25 points and 13 rebounds, it was very hard for him to create offense on himself, being that Phoenix can just load up on him. And nobody else on Denver was really a consistent scoring option. And for Will Barton to come off of his injury and play as solid as he did was even a miracle. So, yeah, I mean, I was rooting for Michael Porter Jr. to have a better series than he did, but got to give credit to Phoenix, man. They really showed why they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. All right, so before we get into this series, I believe we need a moment of silence for the murder that was committed in Game 4 to Derek Favors. And I just want to say, had no business being out there on that court when that murder was done to him. Quinn Snyder, you know what you did. You know what you did. The man was having a bad series already, all right? You slob for that, bro. Slob for that. Last but not least, we got the Utah and the Clippers series. Now, if you were like me and most NBA fans, you thought this series would be over after Kawhi went out with his injury. But the result wasn't what most of us quite expected. When Paul George's legacy was put to the line in these last 2 games without Kawhi Leonard, he stepped up to the plate. And not only did his scoring efficiency go up, but he also showed an all-around game with his rebounding numbers and assist numbers going up. And I'd say this season overall, Paul George's passing IQ has really improved. Not only has he been more of a primary ball handler in pick and roll situations, but he's also looking to create for his teammates when he's in those situations. And same for Kawhi as well, but he was having a great series up until he got hurt, unfortunately. And even on the other hand, when it comes to Utah and their defense, although Rudy Gobert was Defensive Player of the Year, his defense was really put on blast in this series. Because I'm not going to make it seem like he was a huge negative for Utah in this series, but when the Clippers made the adjustment and they went with their small ball lineup, they did do that to exploit Rudy Gobert and pick and roll defense. Being that Rudy Gobert is the defensive anchor for this Utah Jazz team, if his defense is being exploited, that whole team's defense get broken apart. When I say that the Clippers really were just doing whatever they wanted on the perimeter for the most part, they were doing whatever they wanted. We know where Rudy Gobert's defensive strengths lie, and it's around the rim. But when you take him out on the perimeter, that's where it becomes his weakness. And although he did get better at drop coverages during, this season and in the postseason a little bit, it just was not enough to stop the Clippers. And therefore, they lost in 6. Now, I do want to give props to Donovan Mitchell. The man averaged 35 points in this series. And although he did have a bad game in Game 5, and he didn't shoot the best in Game 4 or 3, I don't remember which one it was. But the man steps up in the playoffs, man, for sure. He's one of those, for sure. You feel me? But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge props to all the teams that made it to the conference finals. The video is coming out on that soon. And yeah, man, it's been Swervo Hoops talking about some hoops, man. Follow the socials, look in the description down below. Follow those, and yeah, man, take it easy, y'all.